will wear the yellow jersey on stage 2 into Dublin. Here he is being presented with his jersey. John Sheehan being presented with the purple jersey of leader of the hotspot sprints. As they leave Galway now on the second stage, 130 miles back to Dublin, retrace the route of yesterday.
And they've got a bit of a headwind here on the early stages of this, very, very fast indeed. Heading towards Dublin again, and to see who's going to win that magnificent Waterford Crystal Trophy. John Charlesworth, the man in the lead after day one, but not by very much. Spratt very much in contention, Darren McQuaid, Chivers, it could be any one of them. And the pace is hot. It doesn't look it from that head-on shot, Pat, but the speed is really up today.
The speed in is a slight tailwind. They turn into a slight tail now, and soon after the start we've got trouble for John Sheehan. Back wheel puncture. Sheehan just rolling back to his team car. You can see the obviously more experienced Sheehan compared to Stephen Maher yesterday. Sheehan very calm and relaxed as his teammate Julian Dalby waits for him. Dalby waits to pace him back up to the leading group.
A reminder that Spratt was just 2 seconds behind Charlesworth on day one, and just 3 seconds behind was Matthew Postle. So really it's anybody's race here, and Sheehan being brought up again, number 59. John Sheehan, what a great day one he had in the sprints, placed in every single one of them and winning 2 of them. And there you see what teamwork is about in cycle racing, whether it's amateur or professional. Each man has to do the job of a domestic at some time, Pat. They're checking the race program there, and a nice little program it is too. Only a couple of weeks before the Nissan International Classic, the great professional race, and Nissan supporting this Jim McQuaid perpetual trophy race here on the coast to coast.
Going through Balinasloe, and it's the 2 Scottish brothers, the 2 Riddlebull brothers of Scotland, sprinting it out there, the first supreme of the day. Kenny Riddle taking that.
Andrew Roach is the man who was 3rd in that one. The next one we'll be seeing will be a sprint in Athlone, then there's one at Kinnegad, and then at Enfield, just a repeat of what happened yesterday in reverse, which is one of the great attractions of the coast to coast. That looks like Stephen Maher, the very tall man from the Irish team. There he is, the redhead of Maher, rider number 2.
What's happening here is there's a lot of groups going off the front. A little group goes off the front, another few come up to them. The whole thing is fragmenting. The speed is very fast now. They've got a tailwind, and they really are flying back to Dublin.
In the first hour of racing on day 2, 33 miles were covered. That's on bikes.
John Charlesworth there keeping control of everything at the front, staying at the front. Got his teammate up there alongside him, John Tanner. He Chivers there in the orange and red jersey, orange and yellow jersey. Chivers now leading round.
Chivers, another very good rider, Olympic class rider, but didn't make the team to Barcelona. But I tell you what he does make, he makes that hot spot. You saw him taking the white flag there, Ian Chivers. That was in Athlone. Paul Kennedy was 2nd, and Clark was 3rd.
Again, as I said, it's fragmenting and the group's splitting. Charlesworth staying at the front. His team manager there telling them how far the group is behind. Bunch split in 2 at this stage now, and a very, very big group at the front, and they're obviously being chased hard by the group behind.
Only seconds in it, but Charlesworth only has to keep his head together and he'll be right.
We're on a very hard day today. The crosswind is making it very difficult for the riders. I'm kind of running out of space at the back here. I'll have to get a bigger yoke.
Okay, they're talking about the problems of the broom wagon vehicle, and on a day like this with speed such as it is, the riders who can't stay at the pace have to climb into the wagon.
Broom wagon, of course, the vehicle that goes at the back of every race to pick up, just as it says, to clean up the debris, so to speak. Jim McQuaid there in the car,
giving instructions to this little group that's gone off the front. Charlesworth watching every move, and here he is on the attack now again. Close the gap up to the riders that have gone clear.
Nice alert defence of his yellow jersey here by John Charlesworth, as Pat McQuaid says, marking every move, picking his spaces, picking his places, looking at the danger men, finding out where they are, covering them, and with those protecting that precious few seconds he has. He's going to be hard to shift.
See the riders eating and drinking. Very important on a stage such as this, such a long race, to eat properly. And if you don't eat, if you forget to eat, you can find yourself running out of energy very, very quickly.
They won't have time for any of that energy that those guys were advertising at the door there. But they have their own methods and means of keeping themselves healthy on the road. Road race cycling in Ireland, perhaps at its peak now. The professional exploits of Roach and Kelly, of course, have been at the forefront of it, and so very many good amateurs. It's never been as strong in depth, I think, that.
Indeed it's not. No, when we look at the situation, we had a very, very good Olympic road race. The riders all rode very well in it, and we've got plenty of young riders, plenty of young talent. Like this team that's in this race is a young Ireland team. Young Stephen Marr, Peter Daly, Thomas Evans. These are riders up for the future, and they're going to be terrific riders in the future as well.
Look through the list even on this Jim McQuaid coast to coast. Pat Killally, Paul Kennedy, Stephen Marr, Eamon Byrne, Peter Daly, Darragh McQuaid. This is another hot spot.
Yes, and Jimmers just takes that hot spot in front of John Tanner and Paul Kennedy. At the hot spot at Kinnegad, so just one more hot spot remaining, the final one in Enfield. And as they leave Kinnegad, as Darragh McQuaid goes on the attack and tries to go clear.
Darragh McQuaid, a late comer really, Pat, to the racing bike.
Yes, he only took up racing a couple of years ago, but he's improved in leaps and bounds, and he is very much on the brink of the international scene.
Englishman, all right? Just keep it rolling.
Interesting, isn't it? Brother to brother, race director, race leader.
Soon to come to let you know, all right? Good move.
That's what you call the inside track.
Give her stick.
He just stays clear to take the Preem in Enfield, and the group behind coming up to him. Second place on that Preem, not really sprinted by Paul Kennedy and John Tanner third.
And in that group behind, people like Kenny Riddle from the Scottish team, Pat Killally, Postle, always present, Matthew Postle from Wales, Paul Kennedy, the hotspot man, Stephen Spratt, Chivers, race leader Charles with Wolves from the Welsh team, John Tanner, we saw up there in one of the hotspots, Stephen Healy, Peter Daly, very good field, Charlesworth in the race leader's jersey on this coast to coast 2 day. Marr right up there, you saw him there in 6th position.
Going through Clipcock there, and still a group of 30 in contention now, and Marr on the attack trying to go clear. Bill Tanner of the Diamondback team chasing him and working very well for John Charlesworth, because he's got it. He only really has a couple of seconds lead, Charlesworth, and he has to control everything now as they're going down, and the weather deteriorating now, wet slippy roads as they're dropping down into leak slip.
Yes, this is a dangerous descent. It doesn't look much if you're driving through leak slip, but on a bike with the roads now newly wet, it could indeed be dangerous. Stephen Marr has a little look behind him to see where the opposition is coming from, and we've had a crash here. That's Tommy Evans who's down in the Irish jersey, and just ahead of him is Bill Moore.
Yes, Evans getting up and getting assistance, and Moore still on the ground. And really is, I don't think it's hurt too badly, but it's the shock really as much as anything else when you hit the ground. So 1 minute you're upright, next minute you're down, and it really is a shock, and you've got to try and overcome that and get back on your bike and get moving. Evans now ready to go, and he gets rolling, and Moore will be along, I'm sure, soon afterwards.
Meantime, Stephen Marr coming into the finish on the new motorway near Palmerston in County Dublin. On the west of the city, Stephen Marr has won the stage back from Galway in convincing manner in 4 hours and 9 minutes. A really high-speed job, and it's a high-speed sprint for second place. And Kenny Riddle from the Scottish team takes it from Pat Killally under the Golden Veil banner. Talking about sprinting, the hotspots man here is Paul Kennedy. He gets his presentation. But the main event, the overall winner, John Charlesworth, receiving the Jim McQuaid Perpetual Trophy from Mrs. Jim McQuaid.